Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. I am Dr. Sarwat Rasool and our today's session is on the second novel of our course, that is Emma, and it is written by Jane Austen. So in today's session I would give you an introduction to the author of the novel, that is Jane Austen, and I would also introduce the novel Emma. Well, before I start talking about the author of the novel that we're going to start, I would quickly like to share with you a review of the previous session. The previous session was on Joseph Andrews. It was the concluding session in which we finished the novel and we looked at the development of the characters. As far as the current session is concerned, as you can see on the screen, I am going to introduce to you the author of the novel Emma, that is Jane Austen. We would share her birth, her early life, her education, her life history, and her career as a writer. With this understanding of the author, we would move on to the work, that is Emma, and I would introduce the work to you. Starting with Jane Austen's birth and early life, I would like to say Jane Austen was born in Steventon, England on December 16, 1775. She was the seventh of 8 children, of which there were 6 boys and 2 girls. As far as her family background is concerned, her father was a preacher and the family lived a modest life at the rectory. As her father was a country clergyman, the rector of Steventon in the county of Hampshire in south central England, this provided her but a chance to have a contact with the limited world of provincial gentry. Well, education was an important trait of the family. Her father was a classics scholar in addition to a preacher. Now this education of the father had an impact on the children as well. All the children were schooled at home, but Austen also spent several years studying at a school away from home. In fact, she accompanied her elder sister Cassandra to 2 boarding schools only to return home at the age of 9 to remain there. Mainly she spent her childhood with her family. Her childhood was a happy childhood with all the privileges of childhood that such a family would offer to its children. Continuing about her early life, I would say that as all the children of her family were schooled at home and Austen lived with siblings, it was of great impact on her life and her personality. This experience of living in a closely linked family in a limited social context had a lifelong experience for Austen, and she lived a life that is completely reflected in her novels as well. As far as her family environment in her early childhood is concerned, the family provided a lot of opportunities for learning. The family members often read aloud to each other and performed plays. In the evenings, while the children would learn needlework and do other domestic activities, there were loud readings that were shared by the family. Also, the Austens, that is the family of Jane Austen, they were a novel reading family. Of course, this played a very important role in developing her interest in novels. But her future career as a novelist was based on her education that she received in the provincial community in which she spent her early childhood and girlhood. After on, as a mature novelist, once she wrote in a letter stating that such a spot is the delight of my life, 3 or 4 families in a country village is the very thing to work on. And actually, as we would move forward, you would notice that in her novel Emma, like all her other novels, we find the same kind of life. 3 or 4 families in a country village is the area that she worked on as a novelist. Anyhow, it was for the fact that everyone encouraged her that Austen's talent and intellect was channelized properly. Due to this support, she began writing during her teenage years. As far as her family environment is concerned, she stayed in the same environment for her early years of life. However, the family moved from there when her father retired, and they moved to Southampton in 1805 after her father's death. She lived in Southampton until 1809 when she moved to Chawton. Well, as a child, she had the experience of only this kind of limited provincial life. Of course, she loved this life. All her work as a novelist is heavily inspired by this experience. To live a life beyond this experience was not of interest for her. In fact, there was a small interval during which she lived a different kind of life in the artificial urban setup. And it may be significant that during that interval she was unable to achieve any known completed work. This shows her comfort and her love, both associated with the country life. This 8-year period began in 1801 when Mr. Austen gave up the living of Steventon and retired to Bath. Bath, the area of England most associated with Jane Austen, was her home only for 4 years, from 1801 to 1805. After his death, that is the death of the father of Austen, in 1805, the mother and daughters, that is Jane Austen, her mother and her sisters, they moved to Southampton, where they remained until 1809. Then they moved to the little town of Chawton. The period during Austen's residence in Bath and Southampton was a passive one from a literary perspective. Austen wrote little during this time. Being too much engaged in travelling and other social engagements kept her busy in Bath as well. When in Southampton, she was troubled by city life. And the result was that she did not write much. As far as the issue of marriage with relevance to the life of Austen is concerned, marriage is one of the predominant themes of all her novels. But when it comes to her personal life, Jane Austen decided not to marry. She lived a kind of life, sorry, this is a typo error, this is single F. She lived a kind of life where much about personal life was kept away from the eye of the public, so there exists almost no evidence to support any emotional involvement with any man. Maybe the reason is that most of her intimate letters or more intimate letters were destroyed. Being unmarried is in one's 20s qualified one as a spinster, but Austen accepted and then quickly rejected a proposal made to her at the age of 27. There is also some rumors about her childhood attraction to somebody, but nothing as such can be said with assurance. Her family background and her personal preferences led to a protected private life, and as such there is no record of her complaining about her single life. Thus, she dedicated her life to her writing. With this much knowledge of Jane Austen's personal and private life, we move on to Jane Austen as a novelist. Austen worked hard on her novels, consistently revising them. She did not believe in publishing or getting published the first draft. She wrote her first work when she was only of 15 years of age, and it was a satire. It was in 1790s that she started writing most of her novels. Thus, Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, and Northanger Abbey were all started during this time. However, since she revised and edited each of her work heavily before they were published, so there was a lot of delay in the publication of her works. Anyhow, before 1801, while Jane was still in her early 20s, she had written 3 unpublished novels, that is, Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, and Northanger Abbey. Out of these works, Sense and Sensibility, one of her very popular novels, was not published until 1811. Pride and Prejudice, another famous novel by Jane Austen, appeared in 1813. Mansfield Park was published in 1814, and Emma appeared in 1816. I would like to share with you that this novel, Emma, is the one that I have selected for you, and we would read it as a text and we would explore it critically in this course. Publishing her novels was important to Austen, though nearly all were published long after they were written. Northanger Abbey and Persuasion were published posthumously, that is, after her death. Her desire to publish anonymously was not unusual. In the times she lived as a woman writer, fame could often lead to problems, so she preferred to publish anonymously. and it was only after her death that her name was published. It was after her death in 1818 that a biographical note was added to her novels, and people started knowing her as the author of her novels. Talking about Jane Austen as a great novelist, a lot of contemporary novelists, writers and critics have given comments. A lot of critics, writers and critical analysts have in the later years after her death have looked at her works and have given their appreciation to all her works. The novelist Virginia Woolf said of Jane Austen, "Of all the great writers, she is the most difficult to catch in the act of greatness." What Virginia Woolf means by this is that apparently in the first glance maybe her works do not sound to be that great, but as you explore them you find out how great art pieces these are. Austen was a keen observer of social class and customs, and Emma, as written by Jane Austen, is no exception in the sense that Austen has presented her keen observations of social class distinctions, norms and customs of the society in this novel. She had family and friends read and rate the book, and many preferred other of her works, but readers liked Emma, both novel and the character, the central character of Emma, and this admiration is a credit to the author's skill. Though a master of prose and observation, Austen did not receive much acclaim by the time she died of Addison's disease in 1817. Today she is a highly respected and well-read author, though. Well, all that I have said so far is about Jane Austen's personal and private life, and then Jane Austen as an author or as a novelist. With this, now I am taking you towards a more specific viewpoint about Jane Austen as the author of Emma. Well, the novel Emma was written from January 20, 1814 to March 29, 1815. Pride and Prejudice is generally considered to be Jane Austen's most widely read and most popular novel, but as far as the perfection of art is concerned, most of the critics believe Emma to be superior. As an artist, this is the masterpiece of Austen out of all her 6 completed novels. Austen herself said, again this is a typo error, this is said, S is extra. Austen herself said she had created a heroine whom no one but myself will much like. A comical book largely about Emma's errors of judgment, Austen adeptly keeps us from disliking her blundering heroine. Yes, the heroine Emma in the novel Emma keeps on committing blunders, yet we like her. Since Emma was written at a time when Jane Austen had attained maturity as a writer and she had reached a calm high point in her development as an artist, a point of steady, relaxed control over both her subject matter and her technique, the novel reflects this maturity and grip. Well, the novel Emma as such was the last of Austen's novels to be published before her death. It was published anonymously like all her earlier works. Shortly before the publication of Emma, Austen was invited to meet with the Prince Regent's librarian, who encouraged her to dedicate her next novel to the Prince Regent, a great admirer of her work. Although Austen was not particularly fond of the prince, she chose to follow the librarian's suggestion and later satirized her meeting with him in plan of a novel according to hints from various quarters. There were 2,000 copies of Emma printed in the first edition. Unfortunately, more than 500 were unsold even after 4 years of its publication. If you remember, just a few slides back, I already have said that though her work was in general appreciated by the people of her times, the kind of praise, the kind of admiration and the kind of appreciation she enjoys today, she could not enjoy that during her life. However, after her death, people started realizing the greatness of her work, and all her works, including Emma, were well received by public after her death. So coming back to the publication of Emma, though 2,000 copies were published, Still 500 copies were unsold even after 4 years of its publication. However, we can say that the novel was generally well received by the public. It was not criticized, it was appreciated. Unfortunately, Austen earned very little from the publication of her works, especially from the publication of this novel Emma, because most of the profits were used for the ill-timed printing of a second edition of Mansfield Park a few months later, and she ended up earning only £40 from the novel in her life. So it could not bring her any financial gains either. Well, what Emma, the novel, is about? I would say Emma is different from all other works of Austen because unlike her other novels, the work focuses on a wealthy and beautiful heroine with no financial concerns or need to marry. The quest for financial security and an appropriate husband is central to her other works and adds a serious element to their narrative structures of those novels. In contrast to these, Emma is written in a lighter tone with a streak of humor and as such without being based on a dramatic conflict. Interestingly, the heroine of the novel is also unique because of her seeming immunity to romantic sensibility. When we think of a novel, we think of a romance between a man and a woman and their belief in the kind of romantic ideas. However, interestingly, the heroine of the novel, Emma, is not only immune to romantic sensibilities, she rather is against the idea of love as such. It is only at the end of the work that the heroine, that is Emma, is shown to be interested in love. Before that point, she shows minimal romantic interest in any of the male characters throughout the novel. As far as the reception of Emma and her other works is concerned, because Austen's works were published anonymously, they received little critical attention during her time period, though generally public received them well. Although her books sold well and were favored by prominent figures in British society, critical appreciation by critics of literature was not much given to her. Austen received only a few short reviews. After her death, her works continued to be steady sellers but were not widely popular among readers in the 19th century as well. In general, audiences preferred the dramatic style of George Eliot and Charles Dickens over Austen's mild projection of the limited life of provincial British society. Well, what I would like you to do is, as you would go through the novel, I would like you to think of its important aspects and keep them in mind, and later on, as we would do Charles Dickens as well and would explore one of his works as well, I would like to think of the comparisons of both. Anyhow, Austen's work was still highly praised by prominent literary scholars, authors like Sir Walter Scott and Henry James, and philosophers such as George Henry Lewes lauded Austen's narrative style. Henry James in particular compared her writing to that of Shakespeare, Cervantes and Henry Fielding. अच्छा, अभी आप Fielding को पढ़ चुके हैं. You have already done one of the novels of Fielding, that is Joseph Andrews. We have just finished it. So as we start Emma, you can make comparisons and you can see what are the similarities, what are the differences, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses. After James Edward, Austen Leigh published his biography of his dear Aunt Jane in 1869. Austen was introduced to the wider public, who clamored for new editions of her works. Austen Leigh's biography also spurred a rift between the literary elite, who called themselves Janetes, and the larger public, who was presumed not to properly understand her works. Mainly it was in the 20th century that Austen's works began to receive major scholarly attention, specifically with the publication of A.C. Bradley's essay on Austen in 1911. I would say it was more a kind of a revival of her works. The 20th century also saw a surge of adaptations of Austen's works, including films, prequels, sequels and revised novels. इस पे based बहुत से adapted works were done by people. Emma in particular has been adapted for film multiple times, including the 1995 film Clueless with Alicia Silverstone in it. Well, more recently an Indian version of a film, I guess the name was Aisha, that was again an adaptation of the novel Emma. Sharing something more about Emma, I would say Emma, the novel, like Jane Austen's other novels, deals with the subject of young ladies finding proper husbands. On the surface, this is what the storyline of Emma is about. However, beneath the surface, the book concerns much more than that. Jane Austen is mainly concerned with the way people behave. Within the chosen limits of upper middle class society and within the even more limited, strict feminine point of view for telling the story, we find her mastery of art to present the detailed picture of this kind of life. What I want you to think about is of a comparison of what I am talking about Emma and Jane Austen with what we have already talked about Joseph Andrews and Fielding. Whereas Fielding presented different strata of the society, different social classes, whereas he talked about class distinction by presenting characters from the upper and the lower classes and by presenting the real countryside life in comparison and contrast to the city life. In Emma, as written by Jane Austen, we see life in a very different way. What I would say is she presents a tunnel view, a very narrow view of life, as if no other kind of systems or class distinctions exist. It is only the specific upper middle class that she presents. However, even if we consider it a weakness, the strength of her work is that when she presents this upper middle class society, she presents it in such a minute details, with such a minute detail that the picture becomes very clear to everybody. All the events are presented from within a domestic or social context, though not, as has been claimed, merely from within a drawing room. And this is the broad area of the moralist around which the author of Emma, Jane Austen, works. If the moralist chooses, as Miss Austen does, to focus on the common rather than the exceptional behavior of people, she or he is more likely to write comedy than tragedy. That is why in the novel Emma you would see the light-hearted humor that is created through the follies of the central character Emma. Saying something more on what Emma the novel is about, I would say, I have already said that the novelist has presented a tunnel view. It is a drawing room story. It is a superficial view of life. Yes, all this is correct about the novel Emma. However, we also need to consider that this is a very clear vision of the drawing room life or the superficial view of life. It is a picture with details, and also that it is a very, very clear picture of whatsoever the author has tried to show. I also think it would be appropriate to introduce you to the main characters of the novel before we really start exploring the text. So in today's session, I would introduce you to a brief list of important characters in the novel. I would not go into a lot of details about these characters. I would just introduce these to you so that you know who is who. And as you would go through the text, you would yourself explore the characteristics, qualities and traits of each of these characters. And after doing this, I would also introduce you to the main themes of the novel Emma, so that when from the next session we would start exploring the text and we would go through different chapters of the novel, it would be easy for you to see how those themes are incorporated and how they are dealt with by the writer. Coming back to the point of introduction to the characters, here is a character list. The most important character is the female protagonist in the novel, that is Emma Woodhouse. The novel itself opens with an introduction given about Emma by the author, and she is called handsome, clever and rich. Emma is a 21-year-old daughter of a wealthy gentleman. She is the imaginative and self-deceived heroine of the novel who is very much accustomed to having her own way and has a disposition to think a little too well of herself. Her main job as such is to be companion of her widower father. Although a meddler who demonstrates a maddening self-confidence, Emma is generally well-intentioned. Her hobby throughout the novel is matchmaking. वो रिश्ते करवाती रहती है, इसका उससे, उसका उससे. The novel is essentially a story of how Emma matures from a clever young woman to a more modest and considerate woman able to accept the idea of love. Another important character is Henry Woodhouse in this novel. He is Emma's father. He always resists any kind of change, and I think partially it is because of the fact that he is old. Anyhow, he keeps on compensating somewhat for his selfish whims by being kindly and concerned about people's health. This is what most of the times he talks about. The male protagonist in the novel is George Knightley. He is a well-to-do man of about 37 or 38, so he is a well-mature man in age or years. He is a very calm and rational man who for years has befriended and advised Emma. His personality fills in all the gaps that we see in the maturity of Emma. He is courteous, noble, sincere, and intelligent. And in fact, he is a paragon for behavior, yet not afraid to correct Emma for her mistakes. His brother has married Emma's elder sister Isabella in the novel, and at the end of the novel we would see that he marries Emma. Well, here are some other characters that emerge in the novel. Miss Anne Taylor is there. She is Emma's devoted governess and friend since long. At the beginning of the novel, she has just married Mr. Weston. Mr. Weston, as I have already said, in the novel would marry the governess of Emma. He's a neighborhood, and he is a neighbor to the Woodhouse people and a son by a former marriage in Frank Churchill. Philip Alton is another character. He is the rector of Highbury. He is a 26-year-old clergyman and one of the most eligible bachelors in the area. Another important character is of Frank Churchill, Mr. Weston's son, who has never visited Highbury but who has a reputation for his manners and sophistication. And his absence even would be playing an important role in some parts of the novel. The next character that I would like you to be introduced to is Jane Fairfax. Jane Fairfax is Miss Bates' orphan niece, elegant and accomplished, who has visited her aunt in Highbury before, but not for 2 years now. Well, a very important character that helps a lot in the development of the themes of the novel is Harriet Smith. She is the illegitimate 17-year-old girl who is a short, plump and fair girl in appearance. Emma is mostly responsible for bringing Harriet into Highbury society, and consistently she instructs and advises her, although not always to her benefit. So Emma actually tries to play the role of her mentor. Emma fills her with the pretension that is inappropriate for her status. However, Emma is unable to mentor in the right way, and she incorporates in her personality such pretensions that lead towards misconceptions about her status. Emma tries to marry her off to Mr. Elton. In the end, she marries Mr. Martin, a farmer that Emma considers too coarse but is more appropriate in status for Harriet. Two more characters that I would quickly like to introduce are Robert Martin and Augusta Hawkins. Robert Martin is a respected young farmer who wants to marry Harriet Smith. So in the triangle of the life of Elton, Martin and Harriet, we would see Robert Martin also is included. Augusta Hawkins is a vain and talkative young lady whom Mr. Elton meets on a trip to Bath and to whom he quickly gets himself engaged. Well, before I go on to the themes of the novel, I would just reiterate that you would have noticed even from the introduction of the characters that most of the characters are in kind of relationships to each other where they are either engaged or attracted to each other or married, and this is the main part of their introduction. Well, since from the next session onwards we would be exploring the text of Emma, we would be looking at incidents, happenings, and the story development. So I think it is appropriate to be introduced to the themes of Emma at the outset. With the knowledge of these themes, as you would look at the text and as you would go through the important summary points or story points of the novel, it would be easier for you to see how these themes are relevant and how they are applicable. So starting with the major or main theme of Emma, the major theme of Emma is common human absurdities. Well, as a matter of fact, in the previous novel that we did of Fielding, that was Joseph Andrews, there we found common human absurdities of, for example, Parson Adams, of, for example, Lady Booby. However, Emma is different in the sense that not exceptional absurdities of tragedy are presented, or of satire are presented as are presented by Fielding or by Swift. Rather, here Jane Austen deals with those that are more common and frequent and more laughable ones of society. These human absurdities are more based on code of manners and its fabricated engagement of man's time, thought and energy as such in the system of a society. Beneath Austen's satiric comedy is a moralistic realism. I would like you to compare this with Fielding's moralistic work as you would go through the text. By picturing the real incongruities of all social matters, she implies what may be right. The ideal balance between head and heart, between common sense and goodness, between rationality and imagination or emotion. Hers is not a naturalistic world, inimical to or destructive of the individual. Rather, it is a fairly stable social world that operates comfortably as long as there is no major aberration from it. It can, in fact, if we judge from the outcome of the story, operate effectively in spite of an aberration, secure that the deviation can be rectified and absorbed so that the deviant, that is Emma, finds and accepts her proper place. So it is the story of a society that has its own norms, and the society keeps on living according to the same norms. In fact, it is against this background that Emma pursues her willful and subsequently crossed purpose way. In the end, her change is not into something new and different from her time and place, but into something that is the standard of her environment. अच्छा, यहाँ पर एक चीज़ explain करना चाहूँगी. What you would have noticed, for example, in Joseph Andrews by Fielding, that Joseph's character develops, and at the end of the day he is a changed person, he is a more mature person, and he has learned a lot from the experiences of life. But when it comes to Emma by Jane Austen, here the protagonist, the female protagonist Emma, she also changes, but the change is not in the sense that she emerges at the end as something new and different from her time and place. Still, within that change that comes into her, in her personality, she fits into her society, and she has a change in her personality that is according to the standard of her environment. Her change is not the kind associated with the liberal idea of progress. ये कोई ऐसी situation नहीं है जहाँ पर she would rebel against her society, but the kind found in the conservative idea of progress. She develops into, not out of, a social tradition. However, the thematic irony related to this major theme is that at the end, Austen enables the reader to understand that as such there was never any real danger to the environmental fabric within which Emma was operating, nor these was threat of any change in this societal fabric or the social fabric because of Emma. So वो सब चीज़ें जो पहले she accepts और at the end वो उनसे different अगर करती है, तो even then that is not a threat to the system of the society. I would say this again reinforces the tunnel view that Jane Austen has presented in all her novels about the particular society she was a member of, and that is also presented in the novel Emma. Well, continuing on the major or main theme of Emma, I would say this triumph of social order or social world does, however, mean that it is necessarily the best of its kinds. The beauty of the whole novel is its thematic satire at the expense of the manners and people of this world throughout the text. This mildness of satire is the unique quality of Jane Austen. Apart from the main theme of human absurdities, there are many other important themes that are incorporated from time to time in the text of the novel. For example, courtship and marriage is one of the major themes that runs throughout the novel. If you ask me, I would say Emma, the novel, is all about marriages. Intended marriages, planned marriages, marriages happening after the marriages. This is how the whole novel is structured. And I would say it is structured around a number of marriages. All the time the plot and the story revolve around some recently consummated marriage or an anticipated marriage. In fact, in all of Austen's novels, courtship and marriage play a major role, and Emma is not an exception. As far as Emma is concerned, the entire novel is structured around various courtships and romantic connections, from Harriet and Robert Martin to Jane Fairfax and Frank Churchill to Emma and Mr. Knightley. You would see how matchmaking is being done and how pairs are being made, how couples are being created. All of the conflicts in the novel also revolve around this topic, that is the topic of marriage, particularly in terms of characters striving to find appropriate matches. सारा वक्त रिश्ते ढूंढे जा रहे हैं, रिश्ते किए जा रहे हैं, मुनासिब रिश्तों की तलाश. This is what the whole novel is about. In this way, Austen presents marriage as a fundamental aspect of society during the time period. I don't know how far you are into Urdu fiction and Urdu novel, लेकिन हमेशा जेन ऑस्टन को पढ़ के मुझे नादरा खातून के नॉवल और इस तरह के और नॉवेल्स याद आते हैं that revolve almost around the same themes. Talking more about the interrelationship of marriage and social status, that is another theme of Jane Austen's novel Emma. I would say that social status is the key word in all these marriages. In Jane Austen's works, marriage not only promotes families and serves romantic purposes, it also upholds the class structure of the community by ensuring that individuals marry appropriately and according to their status. We can see examples of this marriage and social class matching in the case of Harriet and Robert Martin, for example, who are from the same class. And by the way, at the end of the novel, the marriage of Emma and Mr. Knightley would be another example of this matching of the social status in terms of arranging a marriage. Continuing on the interrelationship of marriage and social status, I would say it is an important theme in the novel. At the same time, Austen also uses marriage to highlight the social limitations faced by Emma and other characters. In their small village, marriage and courtship are the sole catalysts of excitement or conflict. छोटी सी जगह है, छोटा सा कस्बा है, छोटा सा शहर है, छोटा सा गांव है, और उसमें थोड़े से लोग हैं, उन्हीं की आपस में शादियां होनी हैं, उन्हीं के आपस में रिलेशनशिप्स एस्टैब्लिश होने हैं. So this is the only source of excitement or happiness or even conflict, जो भी कुछ, all the happenings that would take place there. The institution of marriage itself plays a vital role in solidifying the participants' social status. This leads to the question of as to what was meant by social status during Austen's times. Well, in Austen's time, social status was determined by a combination of family background, reputation and wealth. And marriage was one of the main channels through which one could have the possibilities of changing his or her social status. It could raise one's social status. This method of social advancement was especially crucial to women who were denied the possibility of improving their status through hard work or personal achievement. ये वही वाली बात है जैसे as it happens in our society that women are identified and women's social status is identified in terms of the social status of their husbands or their fathers. So in Austen's times also, what would happen that a woman and her social status would be perceived in terms of the social status of her father, and later on with the social status of her husband she would be judged, and her social status would be measured. So if a woman wanted to improve her social status, the only possibility to improve was to marry in a family that is of a higher social rank. The novel suggests that marrying too far above oneself leads to strife. Mr. Weston's first marriage to Miss Churchill had ostensibly been a good move for him because she came from a wealthy and well-connected family, whereas Mr. Weston is a tradesman. What Austen points out is that the disbalance and inequality of the relationship caused hardship to both. He marries Mrs. Weston just prior to the novel's opening, and this marriage is happier because their social statuses are almost equal. Mrs. Weston is a governess and thus very fortunate to be rescued from her need to work by her marriage. अब ये बात वही confirm करती है that I said about the status of women with reference to marriage. On the same grounds, Emma's attempt to match Harriet with Mr. Elton is considered by the other characters as inappropriate because they thought that their social status were different. The relationship between marriage and social status creates hardships for other characters. Frank Churchill must keep his engagement to the orphan Jane Fairfax secret because his wealthy aunt would disapprove. Jane, in the absence of a good match, is forced to consider taking the position of a governess. The unmarried Miss Bates is threatened with increasing poverty without a husband to take care of her and her mother. Finally, the match between Emma and Mr. Knightley is considered a good one not only because they are well matched in temperament but also because they are well matched in social status. This leads us to the theme of social class and role as a member of a social class. Well, Austen highlights the theme of social class throughout the novel, particularly in terms of Emma's relationship with Harriet. As a member of the wealthiest family in Highbury, Emma holds the highest social position in the community. While she interacts with other characters at an equal level, such as with Mr. Knightley, she also has social responsibilities to less fortunate individuals, such as Miss Bates, Harriet Smith, and the poor families who live on her estate. Jane Austen believes in the importance of class distinctions. She shows those class distinctions, and she shows how people from these different classes interact with each other. At the same time, we see that Jane Austen encourages compassion and charity in members of the higher classes towards the lower classes. Another important theme of the novel Emma is the confined and limited existence of women. The novel presents a tunnel view of social life. This is what I have already said. It presents even a narrower and almost claustrophobic scope of action throughout. Women as they live. This is a typo error. It is not the, it is they. Women as they live, think and act in the novel give us a strong sense of the confined nature of a woman's existence in early 19th century rural England. I would like to share here with the students that in the 18th century background and early 19th century rural background where the novel is set, actually the women had same kind of life as women in our rural areas, in our villages have today. Emma, as a young potential girl, has a great deal of intelligence and energy, but the best use she can make of these is to attempt to make matches of people around such as her friends, servants, etc. Despite being a member of the privileged class of the society, she does not have much alternatives in life to do something or to be involved in some activity. आज भी हमारे गांव में जागीरदारों और चौधरियों की बहुएं और बेटियां और बाकी members जो कि ख़वातीन family members हैं, the kind of life they live with the limited scope of life where despite the fact how very much they are intelligent, how very much talent they have, the opportunities for them are very less. So the same kind of life is presented here. The novel shows that the maximum she can do is to pay social visits, charity visits, to play, participating in the rituals of courtship, and accepting or rejecting proposals is perhaps the most active role that women are permitted to play in Emma's world. This automatically leads to the next theme, that is of economic oppression of women. As a heroine, Emma possesses beauty, wealth, intelligence, high social standing, and financial independence. However, Austen makes it clear that Emma is unique in her position. Most of the women in the novel lack Emma's financial independence, and as a result have much more limited options for their futures. Most occupations were thought to be inappropriate for women. Women could not support themselves economically. Either to marry or to work as a governess are the limited options available to them, as we see in the novel itself. A very interesting and important theme that is created around the psychology of human beings is the biasness and the blinding power of imagination. Now, what does it mean, biasness and the blinding power of imagination? Well, Austen uses the novel to convey her an important theme of biasness. The novel offers sharply critical illustrations of the ways in which personal biases or desires blind objective judgment. हमारी अपनी choices, हम क्या देखना चाहते हैं, हम चीज़ों को कैसे चाहते हैं, उसकी वजह से our judgment does not remain objective. It affects our judgment. This is what Jane Austen believes in. Emma is misguided by her imagination in the understanding of various characters and their behavior, such as she cannot understand the motives that guide Mr. Elton's behavior because she imagines that he is in love with Harriet. खुद ही से imagine कर लेगी तो then what would happen? It would lead towards further misunderstandings. And this leads us to the theme of miscommunication and misunderstanding. Many of the major conflicts in the novel are a direct result of miscommunication between characters. One major example is Mr. Elton's courtship of Emma, during which Emma assumes that Mr. Elton is actually courting Harriet Smith. This misconception goes a long way in the novel, and it is only towards the very end of the novel that it is resolved. Moral relativism is another theme that is dealt with by Jane Austen in the novel Emma. For the majority of the novel, Emma operates under the assumption that she knows what is best for those around her. A prime example of this is Emma's relationship with Harriet Smith, in which Emma assumes that she has the right to determine Harriet's choice of husband and her future happiness. She even takes responsibility for Harriet's personality, taking it upon herself to improve Harriet. Ab improve karti hai ya nahi karti hai, this is what she believes in, that she is improving. Actually, what is happening? She does not understand. Emma indulges in similarly condescending behavior with many other characters in the novel, including Mr. and Mrs. Weston, her sister and father, Mr. Elton and Frank Churchill. Emma's belief in her own infallibility is undermined by her behavior towards Miss Bates at the picnic at Box Hill. Although, अब ये जब आप पढ़ेंगे novel तो maybe you would be able to understand this point more. Although Emma had made mistakes with Harriet and Mr. Elton, this is the first time that Emma is blatantly wrong in her behavior. This forces her to acknowledge that her seeming infallibility regarding those around her is nothing more than ego and arrogance. So she thinks she is doing right. Actually, she is doing right or not is yet to be judged. Love, like all other works of fiction, is one of the themes. However, the theme of love is presented in this novel in a very, very different way. That is why the heading that I have created for it is Love versus Marriage. Austen makes it an important point in the novel that love is not a requirement for marriage. For the majority of the novel, Emma considers herself to be immune to romantic love. नॉवल में बिल्कुल एंड पे जाके मिस्टर नाइटले के साथ शी इज़ इमोशनली इन्वॉल्व्ड, उससे पहले शी इज़ नॉट इन्वॉल्व्ड. Although she considers the possibility of marriage to Frank Churchill, she acknowledges that she does not actually love him. And as she is just as happy during his absence as she is during his presence. So this is the justification that she gives. This ability to exist without love relates to the larger theme of marriage that permeates the narrative. To her, an individual must first consider social position, fortune and other logical qualities when determining an appropriate match. उसके ख्याल में matchmaking has to consider social position, wealth and other things, and love has no role as such in marriage. However, because of Emma's financial independence, these logical considerations are superfluous. She is in the unique position to be able to marry solely for love. अब वो तो afford कर सकती है because she is wealthy. Ironically, while Emma's ultimate choice is made out of love for Mr. Knightley, also combines all of the logical qualities of wealth, social status and breeding that make a good husband out of Mr. Knightley. In the end, Austen also ensures that Harriet Smith and Jane Fairfax are also able to marry for love's sake. Though again their marriages serve the important purpose of providing them with financial and social security that I have talked with reference to women earlier. One more important theme of the novel Emma is social conduct and mannerism. It would not be inappropriate if I say that the whole novel revolves around the issue of appropriate mannerism and social conduct. The drawing room story, this novel is called To Be. A tunnel view, the perception of the author is called. And with all this, characters are measured by Emma against their ability to perform appropriately in the social context. It is important for each and every character to understand which social class he or she belongs to, what kind of social manners and mannerism is the requirement of that social class, and how far that particular class presents and represents that manner and mannerism. Appropriate social behavior, including appropriate matchmaking for marriages, is a part of appropriate social conduct, what Jane Austen presents in Emma. With this, we come to the references that I've used to create this session for you, and then I bring to the review of today's session. Well, as far as the review of today's session is concerned, I would say that in today's session we started working on the second novel of the course. The novel is Emma, that is written by Jane Austen. I introduced you to Jane Austen, sharing her birth to her education and then her beginning of career as a writer. We talked about how and why she wrote anonymously, which novels she produced, and then we started discussing her as a novelist. Her important characteristics as an author were discussed, which led us towards particularly talking about Jane Austen as the author of Emma. As we discussed Jane Austen as the author of Emma, we discussed what kind of life she has presented in Emma, why she has presented it in Emma, and how the novel Emma is different from all other writings that he has written. Then I found it appropriate to introduce the important characters of the novel to you. So I introduced you to the major characters that you would come across in the novel, which included Emma Woodhouse, her father, Mr. Knightley, Mr. Weston, and I introduced you to Jane Fairfax, Miss Bates, etc. The purpose of introducing you to these characters was to prepare you to come across these characters and to evaluate them as you would go through the novel, the text itself. After doing so, we moved towards the end of today's session, which was based on introduction to the themes of the novel. The major theme of the novel that I introduced to you was a review of how throughout the novel the major theme of absurdity of human existence and human acts is dealt with. Apart from the theme of human absurdity, some other themes are also discussed. Interestingly, all these themes somehow related to either marriage or social class distinction and status, be it the theme of love versus marriage or the theme of social class distinction and appropriate behavior. Every time you would see that the themes are somehow linked to matchmaking, marriage, and representation of social class manners and mannerism. So this was a brief introduction to Jane Austen, the novelist, and her novel Emma, that is included as the second novel in your course. With this, I bring the session to an end. Thank you very much.